All right, everyone. Today we're going to dive back into this digital painting thing. Now, from the last time that I was recording here, you can see that I've added in the basic colors for the background figures. My foreground figure here made some color variations through the body here. You can see that. We'll made this a little bit darker, the gold areas. Okay, golden shadow area, and then also um, blocked in the color for these characters back here. Now these are really rough right now. I was just trying to get in where I thought the basic sort of satiny finish of their outfits would come in. That's the idea I had here was kind of a navy blue sort of satiny outfit. I'm again trying to go for a, I don't know, I guess I'd say kind of a 70s sci-fi look. Now, if you, like I said, if you look closely, you can see here that there aren't really any features here at all. Um, and that's what I'm going to be working on today. Okay, I did play around a little bit since the other day with this bug's eyes, putting in the little um, little dots to build the compound eyes out, stuff like that. So all in all, I'm fairly happy with what I have here so far. I'm going to have to add quite a lot more detail and stuff, but that's what we're going to be doing now. Okay, so adding detail. Where to begin? Well, I'm going to start with these guys in the background. I don't know exactly how far I'm going to get over the course of this recording. And I think I will. I think I'll just start with the girl on the end here. These characters don't even have names or anything yet. Okay, we got heroic, older guy here, young guy there. Probably like the captain or whatever, and the you know young hero guy. And we got JoJo the dog-faced boy over here, and then we got some green chick. I don't know. Don't have names yet. Sally Celery. Sarah Spinach. I don't know. Whatever. You can see if I put the pencils back on, a little more detail here. Leaving the pencils on at this point might make it a little bit easier to do the actual drawing itself and keep me on model more or less. Oh, you'll notice here too that I also this is the last time I made this character and this character's heads just a little bit small. Like a lot of people, I have a tendency to make figures a little bobble-headed, and so yeah, they were a little out of proportion. They were a little large. You want to, just like in the teach in drawing one, your figures should be ideally 8 heads tall, and these guys were at about 7, so I had to make them just a little bit smaller, and that should about do it. The girl here was about right though. Okay, so now in this case, what we've got going on here, she's not complete yet either. I need to put in some color yet for the teeth and the eyes. Now, right from a get-go, I got a white there. Let's make this a little bit, maybe right about there. Okay. I don't want to have it be too much of a white. And I think I'm just going to use my regular paintbrush for this. Let's go ahead and take the size of this down just a little bit so I can get some nice detailed stuff in there. Maybe about a 9. What that? No, that's still a little big. 6. Yeah, I'll try 6. Okay. And right now I've got a pretty soft brush going on too. You'll notice that it's just soft round. It's small enough now that it should be okay though. And then I think I'll use the same thing for where the mouth is. I got some teeth right there. And then I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and sample the same color right here. And we'll take this and make this just a little bit darker, going straight down from the color that we had. So we want to have just a hint or something like that. That should work. Okay. Now I'm going to take the pencils back off again. This might make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. Pencils sometimes they'll get a little bit in the way. Let's grab that green there. Okay, pencils back on. All right. Now, while I have this green, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up some of my lines there. Something like that. A little gap right there. Okay. Now, let's take our mixer brush. We have the green loaded in there. So we can take our mixer brush, and that should work all right. A little bit of a gleam there. Now, unlike someone who has, skin that's a regular flesh tone, my thought about this character would be, well, she's green, so any sort of a highlight would be kind of more of a yellow. Now, the thing is about that is when you are working on figures that are just out of your imagination, sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly what the best thing would be. There, I'm going to softening up some of those things there. Let's go ahead and pop those pencils off again and see where we're at. Okay, that's looking all right. I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and start adding a little bit of color here too. Let's grab a black here. Make my get back at this brush here. Now at this point, this is where it's kind of good to have an idea of, well, essentially, as I'd say, how to draw. In this case, what I'm doing is I already know, because I draw the human figure quite a bit, I've got a mouth that's sort of a 3/4 view, like this head is. I wouldn't be able to see all the edges of the teeth. I got the bottom lip jutting out here like that. That works pretty well. Let's go ahead and start sketching in some real basic stuff here. Remember too, when you're doing something like this, you want to have your pressure sensitivity set right up here, right there. That way, if you have a lighter touch, your lines will get nice and thinner and narrower. See, for this green girl here, I'll be honest, I was kind of thinking along the lines of not so much Star Trek, but stuff that was like before that. Now, Star Trek is famous for their Orion slave girls. Not to get too deeply into the geeky stuff, but Orion slave girls are the green alien girls that you see in Star Trek. And it's kind of a classic sci-fi trope is to have some alien girl. So, why not? Let's go ahead and grab our darker green here. Need to put a little bit of and let's see if that was there. Now, the contour of the nose would be right along in here somewhere. So what I'm doing is putting in the shading that would be sort of behind it and around it. I'm going to load up my other green there too. so I can just kind of draw in what I want. You'll notice that I'm not using the blend brush quite as much. And that's because on this one, I didn't do nearly as um, complex of a pencil drawing as I usually do. Usually I do really quite tight pencils. And this time though, I just didn't feel like doing that. I felt like going at it kind of loose and seeing how that went. All right, let's go ahead and make this a little bit smaller here and just blend this just a little bit so it's not quite as there. Okay, now it's back on. Okay, now I'm thinking here about just about the dynamics of the face and stuff like that. A little bit of shadow being cast from the nose right there. Let's switch back to our regular brush. I think what I'm going to have to do is maybe put a little, let's see, nose across here, bottom of their nostril right about in there somewhere. And let's something like that. I think should probably do it. Let's tighten that up a little bit. Same thing along here. Going back in, kind of making changes here and there. There. Yeah, actually, it was kind of interesting talking about the whole like trope of alien girls and the science fiction stuff. I was reading a really kind of an interesting old science fiction novel this past weekend, which predated Star Trek by a good, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And yeah, that one too had a girl that was green. So didn't all start with Star Trek. Actually, she's kind of starting to look like the green version of the female lead of Beginning of the End. Again, if you don't watch old bad movies, don't feel bad. The Beginning of the End is a Peter Graves classic where the world is menaced by giant locusts. Yes, this is just the kind of thing that goes through my head when I'm working on stuff like this. Kind of thinking about, what I'm doing here, the kind of artwork that I'm doing, and inspirations and stuff, and starting to come together a little bit here. I'm going to make this mixer brush just a little bit bigger and kind of move that just a little bit. Let's go ahead and put our lighter green in there so it doesn't get tainted too much. Move that like that. Move that up just a little bit and bring that down. Make that look just a little bit more natural. Something like that. Get away some of my brush strokes there. Okay. All right, let's turn our pencils back on here. And okay, we're going to need to go a little bit darker here with some of this stuff. I think I need to start adding some detail here on the shadow side. So I'm going to start with some black the for the brow line and stuff like that. So let me just bring that back on and maybe the lashes. Now, what I'm probably going to do pretty soon here is after I have the this stuff established, I might go back in and go over it with like a dark brown or something like that. All except for where the lips are. The lips are black. I want the lips to be black, like she's wearing, you know, a black lipstick or something like that. Um, just says something about the character, you know. She's a alien and stuff. There. Okay. So we got that. Let's go ahead and turn these back off again. I'm going to need to put in some pupils here pretty soon too. Let's go ahead and we'll just double click on this. Right now it's just straight black. Let's take it into the green zone here. And it's right about there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is just use this really dark green to kind of lessen the intensity of the black that I was putting in. I'm going to leave a little bit of black around the edges. But I don't want too much. I want to kind of lighten that just a little bit, kind of soften it slightly. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's put this to the back right now, where we can use it. Let's grab this color here, and let's make this a little bit darker and a little bit deeper. Okay, there we go. Turn our pencils back up here. See if that's dark enough. I might need to go just a touch darker. Darker and deeper. All right, take the pencils back off here. Let's make that just a little bit bigger. That's what I need for that little area right through there. Now I'm back on my 6. Again, if you have your pressure sensitivity all set, you shouldn't have too much of a problem getting what you want. In this case, bringing in the basic colors for the that shadow core. A little bit right along there too. So a nice variance there. I'm gonna have to put in some pupils sooner or later, but actually I think she looks kind of cool with just the with the white eyes. I don't think I don't think that's gonna work so hot though. Here, let's soften that a little bit. Soften this side a little bit too. Grab that. Don't want too sudden of a change there. So on this one, on this painting here, I'm primarily using the blender brush to kind of move my shadows around and soften them up a bit. That's the difference here between projects. So I'm using the blender brush to kind of soften things up a bit, make them a little bit wider. I don't want to go too far with it. If you go too far, you wind up with just this kind of a big blob, and you don't want that. So. Take that shine down just a little bit. Now I think I actually need to scrap this green here. I need a little bit more right in there. And Let's grab our dark green again. And now let's grab this. Now that's the thing with this is just like any other kind of painting. You're going to find yourself kind of going back and forth, adding things, taking things away until you get pretty much what you want. Now, the thing is, in this case, her face is slightly upturned, right? So you've got a slightly upturned nose. You can see the nostril a little bit, right? And, you know, or that's all fine and good. You don't want to have too much, okay? Let's grab some more of this dark here. And let's put in the little bit of shadow at the back of the wing. When I say wing, that is the backside of the nostril. It is actually called the wing. That's when I teach drawing 1 and I start talking about the wing. I have students kind of give me a look sometimes like, "What are you talking about?" But you know, hey, that's what it's called. There's the, you know, end of the nose there, and you got the wings on either side. So. Soften that a little bit. Same is true here. Soften that. Okay. And while I'm at it, I think I'll go ahead and soften some of this a little bit here too. I don't want this shadow core to be too huge. Primarily because I got, you know, some green there. So soften up some of those edges, but not too much. If you soften them too much, then it's just not going to look right. You got to have some kind of little bit of an edge to it. You got to have some kind of detail. Put a little contour in there. Yeah, kind of a Pat Benatar kind of thing going on right now. That's okay. You know, whatever. If you don't know who Pat Benatar is, ask your parents. All right. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. I'm liking that. Yeah. Again, I've got a ways to go yet with this, but I think I'm on the right track. I think I have the right shades of green along here. So, you know, let's memorialize them. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's go right through the spectrum. Grab this, pop it over here, and we're going to call that green. Oops, hit caps lock. Girl 1. Okay. Next in the spectrum, actually be this one here. Green girl 2. Okay. Next one. Green. Man, I cannot type with a stylus in my hand. 3. And then finally, the shade here. 4. Okay. So I've got all of my green girl skin tones right across there. They're saved, and I don't have to worry about losing them or anything like that. Okay. Now let's get back into this a little bit, and actually I think I'm going to grab my. Let's see what my eraser set at. Whoa, that's huge, comparatively speaking. All right, let's take that size down a little bit. Let's take it about to 10. Yeah, 10's good. And cleaning up some edges here. Something like that. Okay. Now, you notice that you might not have followed exactly what I was doing there because I was switching out in between tools. I wasn't actually switching out in between tools. I was using the tip of my stylus. I went from using a mouse for a second there to select things to going back to my stylus and then back again. So that's what I was doing there. Let's grab this. Put a little line in there. Grab this. Again, trying to make it look a little more natural. Let's bring this down just a touch. Put those together a little bit. Move that over a little bit. All right. All right, that's looking pretty cool. I think what I need to do is let me grab my little bit of color here. Let's put just a touch of highlight there and just a little bit along here. Yeah, okay, like that. Let's go there dark green here. Saw a little bit of a line I didn't like. Using the dark green to kind of fill in some little spots here and there. Now let's go ahead and grab this, this darker shade here, this one here. And I'm going to start putting in a little bit more along the edges here. I'll kind of make these a little more gentle as I go. I just want to make sure they're in there. Same is true with like along here. I've got a little bit of the corners of the mouths. All right, there's a little area right in here they call the donut. Okay, and I want to make sure that the donut is accounted for. Okay, on some people the donut is really really obvious. On other people it's really not. In this case, um, I want to make sure it actually shows up quite a bit. So got that loaded in there, and now I'm going to kind of soften it a little bit with my mixer brush. So just a hint of it right there. And we're going to go ahead and I just switched out. If you haven't used the mixer brush very much, if you have it loaded with a certain color, even though you're mixing, it'll kind of use that as the main color that's being mixed. Okay, so in this case, I wanted a little bit darker stuff showing up down here. Now I want the lighter. I'm trying to lessen it rather than emphasize it. All right. Make that look a little more natural. Same thing along here. Actually, I just brought a little bit of color down from up above to put in a little bit of a highlight there. All right. And then let's Now I'm going to start putting in quite a lot more detail on the neck and stuff like that. But, you know, we zoom out a little bit, and I mean, from a distance, you can't really see it. but eventually, that amount of detail is going to be through the whole thing. Okay. Um, so, yeah, I got a little bit of ways to go here. I think I need to, before I get too far along here, I'm going to grab a. Let's go ahead and use this as a start. Make that lighter still, but with a little bit of a green tinge. And we'll just put a little touch along here. I don't have it too much, just enough to suggest a little bit of a gleam. Let's see, that's a dark green. We don't want that. Go back to the black. Got a little heavy-handed there. All right. While I have that loaded in here, let's go ahead and put in a little bit of. We'll just fill that in right for now. And one's going to be slightly larger than the other, of course. And then, let's see. We got to have a little bit of a gleam in there, even though it's on the shadow side. So we're going to actually make that not super light. And then this one will go just a little bit lighter over here. Something like that. And while we're at it, let's put a little gleam right there. The edge of that. Now eventually what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go a little bit darker through here, maybe something like this, and add a little bit more detail of the teeth. You know, but I don't want to add too much because you know, you don't want to have it look too too savage, you know, or too, you know, bucktooth, you know, or anything like that. But let's go ahead and grab this here. Minimize that slightly. That's the problem with if you add too much detail to teeth, they wind up looking all kind of goofy. I'll have to play with that in a little bit. I think, yeah, that's a little too bucktoothy. So let's go ahead and grab this. I don't think I want the brightest shade, but we'll have the next one right about there. Kind of suggest that that kind of a thing. Okay, now I need to start putting a little detail for the ears. So let's see, it'd be right along in here somewhere. I need to go a little darker still. Oh, that's right, I saved those colors. Let's go ahead and grab our darkest color. That's what we want. And at this point, I just need to start putting in your basic ear shapes. To be quite a lot in shadow over here. Again, I'm just kind of knocking the color in. This is actually going to blend in pretty well with the hair. I'm going to need to play around with that a little bit. I think though, I think I might need a little pop of color though. So what I'm probably going to do is, let's go ahead and, well, first off, I need to give myself a little bit more space for an ear there, so I know where to pop the thing. Let's go ahead and let's grab a nice red. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this red and we're going to make sure it's in the same value range as the shadows that we're in. Okay, so if you start working in a light area and shadow area, what you're going to want to do is make sure that no matter what color you're using, you're in the same value range. In this case, it's down around here somewhere. Okay, so if I go ahead and put in, something like that, okay, even though it's over here, it looks really dark. It's going to read as about the right value for where it would be. It's a little, like a red earring or something. I'm actually going to take let's go ahead and take that, and let's get a little bit of a lighter touch to it, and then put that on a little bit on an edge there, something like that. And so it's not, so there's a little bit of variation. And a little bit of variation also will kind of lend itself to making it feel like it has some a certain degree of roundness to it, I think. So just kind of playing around, putting a little bit on the edge, a little bit on the one side, just to kind of give it that sort of a feel. Okay, and yeah, that'll work. Let's go back to this. Let's grab our darker color here. You can grab it off of your palette, or if it's just handy, you just use your eyedropper tool to grab what you want, just if it's like local. And let's kind of blend this a little bit. Yeah, it's all actually going to be pretty dark through there, but not to be super dark. It's going to make this just a touch smaller. Load it with our lighter green. That one. And just clean up this edge right here. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Now, that had it. That was a little too big there. I'm going to probably have to bring in a little bit of a nuance in here on the one side, but that's all right. Oh, wow, we're at 38 minutes already. Oh, sorry about that, folks. I get a little carried away when I'm doing detail work like this. All right, we'll go ahead. Let's go ahead and hit save. You always want to hit save. And we'll call that good. Okay, so I still got a little bit of work to do here. I want to bring out a little bit of highlight here and there and stuff, but it's starting to come together a little bit. Starting to look more like an actual illustration. I don't know if I want to call it a painting yet, but I'm having fun with it. Okay, so I'll talk to you guys later. All right.